Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Pleased to have you tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Got another great show lined up for you this week. I know you'll think so. Former Hawkeye basketball playing great Jess Settles going to join us now with the Big Ten Network and Fox Sports. Great basketball analyst that he is. Former Hawkeye quarterback James Vandenberg joining us. And then closing it out with Hawkeye insider David Eickholt. But that being said, Craig and Stacy Schroeder joining us again from fightwithflash.org or Fight with Flash Foundation via Facebook. Craig, Stacy, we talked with Gary Dolphin last week on this show, and we mentioned you two with last week was 2/22/22. Flash's number, and while the acts of kindness we talk about that you folks are involved with. So, Stacy, in one sentence this week, talk to us about your day of giving last Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. Hard to say in one sentence, but truly from morning until night, the entire day was so extra special, filled to 22s. We had such a fun day. The entire day was filled. And seeing all their people posting and texting and letting us know what the 22s that they did throughout their day was so special. And just we loved it.
All over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Now, Craig, this is the scary part, Stacy. Craig, only one comma in this sentence. Go.
It was amazing. It truly was amazing. And to watch what Austin, how he's impacted and touched people's lives, just really, really warms our hearts and made it a special day that we got to share with a lot of our friends and seeing all the stories that, all the good deeds that other people were doing on his name, which was awesome.
What I love about it is not just what Austin has done, but what you two have done in Austin's name. So truly from the bottom of our hearts, jobs always well done by you two. It's Fight with Flash Foundation via Facebook or fightwithflash.org. Craig and Stacy Schroeder, thanks so much again as always for joining us. Catch up with you next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much. For Craig and Stacy, I'm Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments. Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. As you can see, my buddy Jess Settles joining us. Jess, my goodness, you're a traveling man and all over the Big Ten. You were going to be all over the country, potentially going to cover that Georgetown Xavier game. You got to see Jack Nungy, but you told me something off the air, working with the Big Ten Network as an analyst, of course, former Hawkeye basketball playing great, over 1,600 career points. And I got to tell you, Jess, when you talked about that you had never met Patrick Ewing before, I was shocked. I mean, you have Julia Roberts on your meeting resume and in your phone Rolodex. What's going on?
Hey, that's right. I'm kind of a local celebrity. People just kind of want to hang out with me, request me, these type of things. No, we know better than that. But no, Patrick Ewing. When I was a kid, and you know that, and the younger generation wouldn't know. He was the most dominant force in college basketball. A lot of people would say all time. John Thompson at Georgetown used to have him goaltend shots early in the game just to intimidate the other team. A national title. He was on the losing end of the famous Michael Jordan shot took Michael from Mike to Michael, as they say. But I grew up going to the 5-star basketball camp in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and just learned of those names and those guys from the East Coast back then. And I always wanted to meet him, and it just didn't work out logistically. So, and probably, it's going to be tough for him to survive because they haven't won a conference game. So I'm not sure he will be there next year. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I had my opportunity and it faded away.
Yeah, that is intriguing. Now, from former Hawks like Jack Nungy, now we talk about current Hawkeyes. But before we get to that, you're going to be calling a game on Sunday. Is that at Rutgers and Penn State? That's at the RAC, right?
It's at Rutgers, Piscataway, New Jersey. The RAC is I don't know. It's kind of like the old Iowa Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
It's just a special place, very, very antiquated and yet worth a ton of wins. Loud, kind of dark. Everybody's on top of each other. It's a very, very difficult place to go play. Totally different from these modern facilities now that are built to hold concerts and trade shows and things like that. It's for a kid growing up in Southeast Iowa and a town of 1,000 and no stoplights. It's fascinating when you fly in, especially at night. I usually go from through O'Hare in Chicago, and then you fly Manhattan's to the side of you. So it's just a totally different world than from where we're from. And you see those buildings and that wealth and those lights and the Statue of Liberty, and you think about all the people who came through there to come to freedom and a new life. It's pretty awesome to be able to see those things. So that's part of part of the perks of the job, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. And, you being a Southeast Iowa guy, I'm a Northeast Iowa guy, and all of us, all of our viewers, in the state of Iowa here, and I guess online too. But my friend Chris and his wife, and he'll know who I mean when he sees this online, but they live close to that area in Jersey on the Philadelphia side, a little south of Piscataway. But his wife, Kim, said to me, "How do you know where Piscataway is?" Or "How do you know?"
Right.
I said, "Rutgers." So it is interesting, like you said, about the RAC, or the Rutgers Athletic Center. I guess now it's called not Jimmy John's, but the sub shop.
Jersey Mike's.
Yeah,
Jersey
yeah, it's in New Jersey. I should remember.
Hey, speaking of Jersey Mike's, like they've had all these tight COVID protocols, and I believe the last time I was there, maybe 3 weeks ago, they weren't even serving food at the concession stands, believe it or not.
Wow.
So that, I think that's all opened up, and I got to put in a word. I'm like, okay, is Jersey Mike going to be providing free subs for the analysts for the game? Like, shouldn't that be a part of the deal? You get there, have a little sandwich.
Sure.
You know how it is. Like a good media room meal, right, makes a big difference.
Jess, that makes all the difference, and that's where you and I bumped into each other last week, was in the media room after the Iowa big victory over Michigan State. We said, we got to get together again. You joined us on Zoom earlier this season, a couple times last year. Yeah, I can't believe, Piscataway's in New Jersey, Rutgers, and I said, Jimmy John's. I didn't mean to curse at you. Yes, Jersey Mike's Arena. We know it affectionately as the RAC, but Jess, let's talk about first all the big doings at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Last night, of course, we record this on Tuesday, March 1st. So last night, what a way to close out February. Just the Hawks 7-1 in February. And I'll tell you, last Tuesday when we saw each other at Carver Hawkeye Arena, we had Gary Dolphin on last week's show. We recorded there. Now we're back in studio. But my goodness, let's talk about the environment then. Oh, by the way, Bluter's Bunch just won the Big Ten title, or share the Big Ten title. So Sunday, the place was rocking after the Hawkeyes beat Nebraska in Nebraska on Friday. And then you go to last night, senior night, Monday night, February 28th. What a way to close it out. Austin Ash, family friend of mine, his dad and I grew up together, and I've known Austin his whole life. And to see him throw up that Caitlin Clark-esque bomb, it really elevated the crowd. It was kind of a murmur all game, Jess, kind of a dull crowd. The game really wasn't exciting. The Hawks were rocking and rolling. Of course, Keegan doing crazy Keegan things, double-double in the first half. I can't stop talking about how big the doings are at CHA the last week. I'll let you step in and talk about that.
Yeah, right. A very special February. I like how you said that. I ran into Gary Barta, the athletic director at the Nebraska game a week ago, and just got a chance to talk to him for about 30 seconds. And I believe I came up to him and said, I just want to congratulate you on all the wonderful things going on. And I started to maybe list a couple of them. And then I ended up listing 5 or 6, and I don't even think I covered half of them. I know, Joey Woody and the track team just won the indoor. Obviously the football's going well. The Brands Brothers documentary, that's just getting rave reviews and rating extremely high at the Big Ten Network. And obviously the big Iowa Penn State duel and Iowa having another chance to win a national championship. The women's basketball program doing well. I think they just honored the softball coach, who's a great lady. I've met her a couple times.
Yeah, Coach Gillespie, 900 victories. 900
victories. And I'm telling you, I'm leaving out 3 or 4 teams. Field hockey doing well. So, just very happy for Gary Barta and his family and what's going on. But as far as the men's basketball team, to be able to have that type of record. The night that we talked was the Luka Garza retirement ceremony, which it's hard to pull those off and do those right, but it really seemed like they put a ton of work into it with the video presentation and the music. It was very, very special. I was very impressed. And, now Keegan Murray has taken that next step. Connor McCaffrey hasn't missed a 3-point shot in the whole month of February, which is just amazing, right? That's amazing. A lot of great things happened, and the women won the Big Ten championship. So, you tip your hat, and what a February that was.
You feel just like I do, because I didn't want to take up all your time, but I was rolling through that list, and I'm like, I'm going to stop here because we could still be talking about that. As you mentioned, Gary Dolphin and I talked about that last week. Heller ball is rolling right now. Baseball's on a good roll. Golf is swinging the clubs now. Softball, as you mentioned.
Tyler Smith was coach of the year in golf. He's a good friend of mine, Mount Pleasant kid. Look, I mean, obviously this is a good time to call the donors, that's for sure. And if I was Gary Barta's agent, I might be renegotiating my deal because, as you know, from being at different programs and being in sport long enough, it can go south just as quickly as it can be going well.
Yes. And so funny when Dolph said that to me last week when I said, boy, it's certainly great to be a Hawkeye. And he said, usually is. And then we both kind of smiled afterwards. And like you said, when you're at this apex, let's play it out. But hey, let's talk a little more Big Ten basketball before I say my goodbyes to you again. He's Jess Settles, former Mr. Iowa basketball, all-time Iowa Hawkeye basketball, playing great. Now analyst for the Big Ten Network and Fox Sports. And Jess, always appreciate you joining us. So thanks for carving out time between your travels. You just got back on Sunday night late, and now you're headed out, as you mentioned, to Piscataway on Sunday. So some of these Big Ten teams, the Hawkeyes, as we record this on Tuesday, had a big victory last night, as we said, against Northwestern. They close out the season on the road at Michigan. You know Chrysler Arena well, the old place there, as well as at Illinois. And that's become quite the rivalry again from way back in your day, or even before your day with Bruce Pearl and all that going on. There's always been a rivalry, but now with both teams as good as they are, it's been kind of a heated rivalry with Connor McCaffrey and some of their players that are still there. I'm very intrigued to see these next two games. Jess, yourself?
Yeah, I love these type of games. I always love the revenge games in the Big Ten. You get beat by both of those teams on your home court, and it's a bitter pill to swallow. And you feel like you didn't rebound well enough. You feel like you didn't make a few plays that you should have made. If you remember against Illinois the first time, that's back when Iowa just refused to rebound. That group collectively just did not want to get on the glass. You can't explain it sometimes. It's very difficult to coach rebounding, but they all came together after a few games after that and said, we're gonna be in the NIT if we don't start rebounding. Yeah. We can shoot the ball, we can pass the ball. We got one of the top players in the country, but now it's very clear. Every game they've won the boards. I think it's 17 now. They're 17-0, I believe. That's just stunning. So I would imagine this group of guys is ready to play in these revenge games. Yes, they're on the road. Hunter Dickinson, Kofi Coburn. It's tough to match up with those two guys, but the analytics of the game say that the good 3-point shooting teams, it's the great equalizer. And Iowa right now is just shredding everybody. I think you said the 7-1 February. Other than what? The Nebraska game on the road, it hasn't even been close. The average margin of victory is around 20.
Yep.
So I love these games, and hopefully the guys will play well and steal one, maybe two.
Yeah, it was and that hiccup in February was a close loss at Carver to Michigan, as you mentioned. So I think it's a real chance for them to make some hay. Here's the point to all this, Jess. If they can do well enough, Ohio State has a Nebraska game yet, but then they play Ohio State and Michigan, all of it at home in Columbus. But the Hawks are going for that double bye, and you know how important that is. But we're taking a 2-week break for best ofs, and we're going to be running repeat shows for the next 2 weeks. So I had to get you in to weigh in, and then we'll be talking about March Madness, where the Hawks are going. They're projected right now as a 7 seed. But Jess, I got to ask you on the way out the door here, if the Hawks win these next two games, Ohio State loses a game, they're the number 4 seed in the Big Ten tourney. Regardless of what happens in the Big Ten tournament, I know that the selection is after the tourney. Let's say hypothetically the Hawks go in as the 4 seed, win a game or two. So if they lose in the semifinals or the finals of the Big Ten tourney, right now they're projected as 7. They got to be a 4 or a 5 seed in the national tournament, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Especially, you look at these two games coming up, regular season, and then if you fall into that double bye, which would just be remarkable. So every game from here on out is going to be a quad 1 for sure, probably, I would think, and I probably a ranked team once you get to the tournament. It's going to be fascinating because Iowa has struggled in the NCAA tournament, to put it lightly. I played on Dr. Tom's Sweet 16 team in 1999, and that's the last time we've been to the Sweet 16, which pains me to say that. It's hard to believe that.
Kenton McCausland, your teammate, reminded me of that last year.
Right.
So
we don't want to be known for that. Like, somebody please go to the Elite Eight and eliminate us from the conversation.
Amen to that. Jess, Hawks 21-8 right now. By the time this show airs, they will have already played Michigan 11-7 in the Big Ten. So again, these 2 games left. So Jess, big doings for the Hawks upcoming, and we look forward to catching up with you at the end. As we go into March Madness, or maybe we'll have March Madness already settled by the time we talk to you again. But I really want to talk to you on a postseason review because obviously Keegan will be going to the NBA. We know that.
He'll be going to the NBA, and before he goes, let's just hope he pulls a Danny Manning and takes us all the way to the Final Four.
Danny and the Miracles, we can change that to Keegan and the Miracles. How about that?
I knew you'd like that one, buddy.
Thank you, brother. He is Jess Settles, good friend of the program. Again, former Mr. Iowa basketball, former Iowa Hawkeye great, current broadcaster for the Big Ten Network and Fox Sports, all the media involved there, FS1 and Fox Sports. But Jess, also most importantly, an Iowa farmer. Southeast Iowa native, home man through and through, Jess Settles. Jess, my friend, thank you so much. We'll catch up soon.
Really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
My pleasure as always. He is Jess Settles. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. We'll be back with more. And James Vandenberg in just a few moments.
To make the Mershman Seeds delivery experience even better this year, Mershman Seeds is offering you a brand new Apple app called Mershman Delivers. It will give you the estimated time of delivery down to the second and updates you as our truck makes its way to your dealership. Mershman Delivers will provide you the answer to the number one question we get when it comes to delivery. When exactly will the Mershman truck be here? Available on the Apple App Store. Download Mershman Delivers today.
From Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we're participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy James Vandenberg on the screen. James, former Hawkeye quarterback. Now, James, I apologize to you earlier. Jess Settles went a little long. He's both bigger and badder than you and me. So he just said he's sending Southeast Iowa love your way from his way. So I'm going back to back here. I'm a Northeast Iowa guy. Settles, Southeast Iowa. You're Southeast Iowa. But James, I stepped on your toes a couple weeks ago when we had Gary Dolphin on last week's show. You were going to break news for us a couple of weeks ago, which was and is.
I don't know if I was going to break news. I think that was going to be a little off-air conversation. No, it's good to be back, Dave. Thanks for having me. It sounds like we've got a slightly new configuration of coaches.
Yes, we do. Now, and of course, I wouldn't have taken that on the air, but as you mentioned, our buddy David Eickholt, who'll be following this segment, Hawkeye Insider. Brian Ferentz, now the offensive coordinator still, but now the quarterback's coach. So my question to you is, with Ken O'Keefe stepping aside and going into administrative duties off the field, not as the quarterback coach, he was an offensive coordinator and quarterback coach when you were at Iowa, also along with Drew Tate, Ricky Stanzi. Talk about some of your Ken O'Keefe stories and thoughts and where you think this offense is headed, because I know you've said it many times on this show, you're a big Brian Ferentz guy. So as always, thanks for your insights, but give us some Ken O'Keefe stories.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as I thought about this, a story, I don't know if I have like a great come up with one, but he had this ability to like draw up one or two shot plays a game, and it was notorious, and he knew kind of when it was going to be in the play action and red 40 pin. And anybody who's ever played for Ken O'Keefe knows red 40 pin because that was the go-to. But I mean, I think when I think back of like Coach O'Keefe, that guy worked so hard, and all those coaches do, but nobody worked harder and spent more hours in his office game planning than Coach O'Keefe. I mean, I knew at any point if I came in to watch film at 9:30 at night, Coach O'Keefe's light was going to be on and I could ask him a question. And so, I mean, I've just got a ton of respect for him. He's done it for a long, long, long time. And yeah, I guess in my job as a financial advisor, I was hoping he was going to be sitting on a beach for the next year, but it's going to be just a slightly different role, still doing football, but wish him the best and very fortunate to have played with him and for him.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. Instead of a story, like you said, an experience with him, and that's all I've heard throughout. Very Bill Snyder-esque. Reminds me of all the stories I heard when Bill Snyder, before your time, was offensive coordinator for Hayden Fry. So let's go into the...
You don't go broke taking a profit. He must have told me that 10 million times in the 4 years that I spent with him. And that is something I'll probably remember and tell my kids for the next 50 years. So you don't go broke taking a profit.
And now you told us, so that's why you're doing so well in the business world. You don't go broke taking a profit. I love that. So give us in the next minute and a half or minute or so, tell us your thoughts where the offense goes from here. You know, a lot of people concerned about, Brian Ferentz, you and I talked about this off the air. The sky is falling with the offense. How can Brian Ferentz do both? You're a big Brian Ferentz guy, so sell us on this year's offense because I feel good about it too.
Yeah, no. Offense is going up. Brian Ferentz can definitely do both. Most offensive coordinators do both. At Iowa, Coach O'Keefe always did both. Both is not a problem. It's going to give Brian probably a little bit better connectivity with the quarterback, so that's going to be a good thing. I think our offense is going to be stronger for a lot of reasons, but mostly because we're all just going to have another year under our belt, especially that young offensive line. I feel really good about it. I'm on the Brian Ferentz train, and that stock's going to keep going up is what I would bet.
I like the way you think. And James, we're going to talk to you when the NFL draft comes up here in a little over a month or so. All the Hawkeyes sprinkled throughout the NFL. So I owe you more time. I apologize for the short segment this week. But as always, I knew you'd have plenty of nuggets for us with the Ken O'Keefe story, but also with Brian Ferentz. So my friend, I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks and look forward to catching up with you then. Thanks, James.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
My pleasure as always. He's James Vandenberg, former Hawkeye quarterback. We'll be back to close out the show with our buddy and Hawkeye insider, David Eickholt. Back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seed company that's chasing technology or a seed company that's writing the book on it? Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Mershman Seeds has been treating soybeans for decades, long before it was commonplace. We're the leader in technology, introducing Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, with an added fungicide to help produce a faster, more even emergence every single time. Who can you trust with your yields? Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. David Eickholt joining us, Hawkeye Insider. David, I say this to you every week, but I'm out of the way. Go.
Yeah, Dave, a lot of exciting things happening right now. Obviously, Caitlin Clark, Big Ten Player of the Year. Should have been, I think, unanimous, obvious decision. I think it's the same thing for National Player of the Year there as well. Keegan Murray, 5 Big Ten Player of the Week honors. And obviously, we saw senior night. Just what a game it was for Iowa, routing Northwestern. And it's funny, Dave, everybody talks about Jordan Bohannon and Connor McCaffrey, but it really seemed like student manager Jack Devlin and Austin Ash completely stole the show with Ash's logo 3 and Jack going out there for the final media timeout when both teams were meeting. Iowa didn't care about the timeout. They just wanted to go see Jack drain the half-court shot, did it on his second attempt, and then Carver Hawkeye just went absolutely bonkers.
Plus, we had a girl win tickets for, she made a full court putt during one of the timeouts and breaks. So, and I'm sorry I don't have her name, but congratulations to her too. So what a night it was on senior night, and we talked with Jess Settles about that too. But not just Jordan Bohannon and Connor McCaffrey, but Jack Devlin and Austin Ash, as well as Caitlin Clark and Bluter's Bunch. You got also McKenna Warnock. And let's not forget Monica Zanano. I mean, the whole band of team. What a fun team that is. Co-Big Ten champs, indoor track champs, Joey Woody and his guys. We talked about that with Jess Settles too. But I wanted to mention to you with wrestlers viewers, with the Hawks not having Midlands this year canceled because of COVID and other things, they haven't really had exposure to the rest of the wrestling world. A couple of duels here and there outside of the Big Ten Conference. But Big Ten meet coming up this week. That'll be on the Big Ten Network along with the women's Big Ten tournament upcoming and the men next week. But so wrestling is going to be a lot for Alex Marinelli and Jaden Ironman and Tony Cassiope, Michael Kemmerer, those 4, and the rest. All 10 are ranked in the top 10 or top 20. But it's going to be a heck of a year to see if Brands boys can repeat as national champions. But David, we talk all that greatness and all that goodness. Football, we talked with James Vandenberg about Ken O'Keefe moving to the administrative side. Brian Ferentz, now the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach. So again, David wrote a nice column on that. So viewers, please check that out. So David, in the last minute we have here with you, I do want to talk to you about the men's basketball team. Big games upcoming by the time this show airs. They will already played at Michigan, hopefully a victory. And of course, it's becoming a grudge match now with Illinois and Iowa every year.
No, it's gonna be very fun, Dave. And I think the good news for Iowa men's and women's is they're both playing their best basketball of the season. I mean, the women have won 3 top 10 matchups in the past 10 days. The men went 7-1. I think the February Fran fade is put completely to rest. And here's your stat, Dave. All 7 of those wins came by double digits with an average margin of 18 points per game in favor of Iowa. So Tony Perkins really starting to get going. Jordan Bohan's getting going. Keegan Murray's been, I think, one of the most consistent weapons in the Big Ten, if not the country. So I think Fran's bunch has it rolling, and it's going to be very interesting if they can close down the stretch. Will Fran be Coach of the Year? Will Keegan Murray make that final push? And the reality, too, is, Dave, Iowa can still make a push for that 5 or 6 seed possibly. I mean, that's a lot of things are still on the line in the last week.
We talked with Jess Settles about that. Could be a 4 seed in the Big Ten tourney. Double bye is always important too. David, great stuff from you as always. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it, Dave.
For David Eickholt and Craig and Stacy Schroeder, Jess Settles and James Vandenberg, and you, the viewers, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from us. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.